Hey friends, welcome back to Call Me After Coffee. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been around for a while, thanks for coming back. Today I wanted to do the mid-year book Freakout tag, which I did last year and it was really fun, so I am just going to hop right into the questions. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2020. I grabbed three that I am having a very hard time choosing between. The first one is a nonfiction called The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. This is about a man who spends 30 years on death row and he's completely innocent. And it is such a beautiful story of forgiveness, and I just love his kind of testimony, and I loved the way this was written. I listened to the audiobook and then I bought myself a hard copy because I want to reread it and annotate so many of the wise things that he said in this book. I absolutely love this. And then next I have Hum If You Don't Know the Words, which you guys know has ended up in a few videos more recently, and I just thought this was so beautifully written. I loved it so much. It was so wonderful, and it was heartbreaking, and it was heartwarming, and it was just, I loved the writing, and I can't wait to read Bianca Murray's next book. And the third one that I grabbed, I actually literally just finished 2 nights ago, and I lent it to my sister already because I loved it so much. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I just adored this book. My heart was in my throat the entire time. I just couldn't get enough of it, but it was also so soul crushing all at the same time. I loved this so much, and it made me feel so many things. The next question is the best sequel you've read in 2020. For this question, I'm going to have to say Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I loved the second book in this series so much. I still need to get to book 3, but I absolutely adored this one. I literally couldn't put it down. I haven't been in the mood for the third one yet, but it's coming. It's going to happen, hopefully very soon. But I really, really loved Thunderhead so much. The new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I have seen Dear Edward all over the place, and I have a feeling that this one is going to just rip my heart out and just crush it. It sounds like something I'm really going to love because I assume it's going to make me cry. Also, I would really like to paint the edges of this one and carry these birds around because it is so pretty. The most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And for this one, I'm definitely going to have to say Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. He is one of my favorite authors of all time. Auto-buy, I will read anything that he writes. I have so far loved everything that he's written. The biggest disappointment. This one is honestly super, super easy for me to choose. I thought that I was going to love The Tattooist of Auschwitz so much, and I ended up really, really not enjoying it at all. And it was just such a huge disappointment. I wanted so much more out of it because the story should have made me feel all the feels, and it literally just made me feel like I had a heart made of stone. The biggest surprise. For this one, I probably have to pick The 13th Tale. I didn't really know what this was going to be about. I had no idea really going into it what I was going to think, but I ended up falling in love with this so much, and I ended up really, really enjoying it. And it was not something that I was expecting to absolutely love and not be able to put down. I just thought it would be kind of an average read and maybe it would be fun, but I ended up loving the writing of this one so much. Favorite new author? It can either be a debut or new to you author. For this one, I'm going to have to pick Jess Kidd. So far, I've only read one of her books, but I do own one of her other ones, and I want to get her third one really, really badly. But this was another book that I had no idea what it was going to be about. I assumed I would like it from what I'd heard and it being compared to The 13th Tale. But the writing, I loved it so much, and I thought Jess Kidd did such a great job, so I can't wait to read more books from her. Your newest fictional crush? I'm not a big, book crush kind of person, but I can't even remember the love interest's name for this book, but I really did like him, and I thought he was a really, really sweet character, so I'll probably have to pick him, but it's more I'm really happy for this character who gets to date this guy than, something that I actually feel for a character. Does that make sense? I don't know. Your newest favorite character? Alright, this is another answer where I'm having a hard time choosing, so I'm definitely going to have to say I loved Nan Sparrow from Sweep. I thought she was super adorable, and I just loved her, and I just loved this book in general. And then I would have to say Beauty from Hum If You Don't Know the Words. I thought her character was absolutely beautiful. I loved everything about her. I thought her inner thoughts and everything that she was in this book, I absolutely loved and adored. And last but not least, this book has a few of my favorite characters. Honestly, I loved Bridie, I loved Cora, and I loved Ruby. I thought that they were such a great set of characters, and I loved them from start to finish. So I'm just gonna pick all the characters today, I guess. The book that made you cry. Another one where I have two answers. One of them is definitely Where the Crawdads Sing. I love this book so much. The ending had me sobbing. It was so good. I couldn't put it down. I absolutely loved it. And then I also have The Sun Does Shine. Like I said, I listened to this on an audiobook and I sobbed. Like, I sobbed so many times through that audiobook. I just could not stop crying. It was just all throughout, just sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. My heart was absolutely broken for Anthony Ray Hinton, and I loved him so much, and I just wanted to reach out and give him a hug because my heart was just broken for him. The book that made you happy. Okay, for this one, I have The Secret Garden, which this was a reread for me. I read this when I was like 10 years old and I loved it then, and I reread it to my daughter and we both loved it. It's such a sweet story and I love the characters, and I just had such a good time enjoying this story with my little one. And then I also have Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was so sweet. I thought it was just great. It had such awesome characters and it just was such a feel-good book. It still had some intense parts, but it was such an enjoyable read. The most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year? All right, this is another one where I'm terrible at making decisions, but these are a few that I've bought / received. And one of them is Dear Edward. As soon as I saw this one, I was in love with that cover. I thought it was so pretty. And then Things in Jars is another one that I am absolutely in love with. That mermaid wraps around to the back. I think that it was so neat. It has these like little snails, which actually makes sense once you read the story. This is definitely one of my favorite covers of the year so far. And then this was sent as a birthday gift, Woven in Moonlight, which I can't wait to read, but this cover caught my eye the second I saw it. I think this came out last year. But I have been obsessed with this cover ever since I first saw it. It was so beautiful and I'm so excited to read that at some point. And the last book I had on that little stack is Conjure Women by Afia Adekora. I don't know if you can see this very well, but I thought this cover was stunning. The first time I saw it, I reached out to the publisher and they actually sent this to me. And I just thought that the art on this was so fantastic. And the last prompt is, what books do you want to read by the end of the year? Alright, so for this one I have a few books here that I really want to get to. The first one is Long Bright River by Liz Moore. This one, as far as I know, follows a police officer whose sister, I think, is a drug addict and living on the streets, and I think the sister goes missing, and then this is like the story of trying to find her, I think. And then next is Dear Edward, which is about a plane crash, I believe, and I think there's a lone survivor. I don't really know, you guys know I don't really like to read synopsis very much, but I have a feeling this one is going to make me cry. Next is Woven in Moonlight, which I think is a magical realism, or maybe it's just fantasy, I don't remember. And I think this has to do with someone who is acting in place of like a queen or something like that. I don't think it's called a queen. Again, I don't like to read synopsis, but I believe they are taking the place of royalty or something because someone is out trying to assassinate royalty. So this person is acting in their place. I think I could be completely off base, but I really want to read this one. And then I have Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. I don't really know what this one is about either. I think this is more of a contemporary. I've seen it floating around Instagram and a bunch of people have rated it really highly. Apparently it's very funny. So I could be wrong. I thought someone said it was funny. I thought the cover on this one was really, really pretty, and I'm super curious to see what I think of it. I don't read a ton of contemporary, but I hope that I enjoy it. And last but not least, I have Jojo Moyes' The Giver of Stars. There are so many more books that I also want to read this year, but these are just like books that I have gotten more recently that I'm really excited that I've kind of bumped to the front of the list. This is a historical fiction. I believe it's about like a traveling library that goes up into these mountains. I don't really know, but I heard it's historical fiction. A lot of my friends have rated it really highly, so I have a feeling I'm really gonna enjoy it. So I hope that I really love this one. This is another one of those ones that I've painted the edges on, so it's extra special. But I got this for my birthday and I can't wait to read it. Alright friends, that's everything I've got for today's video. Let me know down below if you also did this video. Leave a comment so I can go and check out yours. I always think it's fun to look through other people's tags. I have a fun time finding new people to subscribe to as well. And if you didn't do the tag or you don't want to do the tag, feel free to answer any of the questions down below. Curious to see what you guys are interested in reading or anything that you've picked up this year. Always enjoy reading those things down below. And while you're down there, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future notifications. I do upload most Mondays and Thursdays, and I will talk to you guys all next time. Thanks so much for watching.
You leaned in closer, I should have kissed you. Your hair was longer, I pulled away from it and moved to the city over the Tappan Zee Bridge. You like the colors, I can't see anything.